Welcome back to this already the final segment for today, Monday morning. Price of Business. I am your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Chris Kidd, he's a regular here on the Price of Business. We bring him on all the time because he brings great content and information. He knows a lot about the financial arena. He's a financial coach. You can learn a lot about him, and he's particularly engaged with what's happening in the business of sports. We've had some phenomenal interviews just in a couple of months you've been working with us. And you can find them not only at our website, but also all of his work over there at chriskidd.com. Kidd is spelled K-I-D-D, chriskidd.com. Your guest for us this morning, this Monday morning, Frank McKinney. Frank's been on my program before, but it was on CNN 650 when that happened. I don't know if you remember, Frank, but delighted to have you back on the program.
Kevin, Chris, nice to be back.
We're glad to have you. Great stuff what you do. I'm going to let Chris jump in right away with his first question.
Well, I would really like you to kind of just tell the listeners about your story a little bit. You got a phenomenal story about leaving Indiana and then how you went from basically $50 to your first $50 little crack house that you called it to now the big ones.
Sure, I'd be glad to. I'll give it a Cliff Notes version. I came from Indiana when I was 18 years old down to South Florida after leaving my fourth high school in 4 years. No, my father was not in the military. We did not move around. These schools asked me to leave one after the other. I finally graduated from a school that was run by Benedictine monks, a reform school with a 1.8 grade point average, and with that kind of GPA, there was no hope of pursuing a formal education. Not even a community college would take me, so I took my duffel bag and a $50 bill, and I left Indiana for the fun and the sun down here in South Florida. I got a job digging sand traps on a golf course by hand, earning $180 a week. Listen, I might believe in the welfare system, but I don't believe in the welfare mentality. I was glad to have a job, glad to be able to put a roof over my head and food on the table. But there was certainly a higher calling, a professional higher calling, than being a maintenance worker on a golf course for me. I was around affluence, Kevin and Chris, all day, every day. I was working on a golf course, and I was moved over to the tennis courts and was a maintenance worker there, and here the same people were playing golf. They were playing tennis all day. Lifestyle of the rich and famous. I'm young. I'm impressionable. I want a piece of it. I'm in my late teens, early 20s. I was around people that made a lot of money in real estate. You know, they had a 9-to-5, sure, but they took their discretionary income, money left over after paying bills, and they invested in real estate. These are stories that I learned as a tennis instructor. I became a tennis pro. I went from a $5 an hour pay grade to earning a six-figure income by teaching tennis. I was a great tennis instructor. I taught at the most affluent and wealthy clubs in South Florida. And I used that opportunity to earn my PhD in entrepreneurship, really my master's in real estate, if you will, by learning from the people that could afford to pay me $50 an hour and would drive to their lessons in a fancy car and had a nice mansion and a beautiful wife and a boat out back. Again, very impressionable when I'm a young man. And what I learned from them was, listen, invest in real estate. It's South Florida. It's transient. There's people moving in. People want to buy these properties all day, every day. And I did. I bought my first fixer-upper in late 1980s for $30,000. It was a crack house in a bad part of town. Used all my savings for my tennis instruction days. Saved all my money. I didn't blow it. I swore off all unhealthy vices and temptations, and I lived a pretty disciplined life for a young man. I bought that first house, fixed it up, sold it, made a $7,000 profit. That was 25 years ago. And now, 25 years later, we build and have been building for many, many years some of the most beautiful oceanfront spec homes. These are homes built without a buyer, and these are sold in the tens of millions of dollars. The most expensive one we did was a $50 million spec home. We've done plenty. The average selling price is around $14 or $15 million. But again, we build and we take all the risks. We design them. I buy the land, design the house, build the house, fully furnish the house down to the gold-plated toothbrush in the bathrooms and linens on the beds, and then stick a for sale sign in the yard, hoping somebody will come and buy it. And fortunately for us, over the last many years, they have.
Yeah, Frank, are all these properties in the Florida area?
They are. In real estate, I believe you don't have to move any further than if you took a little compass that you had, a grade school compass with a pointy end, you put it in where you live, Kevin. You can draw a circle, a radius around that point, no greater than 10 miles. And you can make a nice fortune, if you will, make a living in real estate. And so, yes, all of my projects have been within a 10 to 15 mile radius of where I've lived for the last 20 years in South Florida, Palm Beach County.
Very good.
Speaking of being able to do real estate locally, which is a great aspect of it, you actually have an event coming up that you're going to be teaching people how that they can basically learn, some of the things that you have learned over, your, 25 years or so of experience. Tell us a little bit about that event.
With a lot of resistance on my part, I wanted nothing to do with the real estate education industry, the gurus, the snake oil salesmen. I can't stand the reputation that it has, and rightfully so. So I steered clear of it for many years. I've written books that people can learn from, but I never wanted to get out there and be a part of producing my own seminars until recently. And I realized, you know what, I've been at this 25 years. I don't know if I'm going to learn any more than what I already know about how to make money in real estate that I could relate to people who are just getting started. And so as a very creative way to generate money for our Caring House Project Foundation, that as a sidebar is a charity that I started 11 years ago that had built entirely self-sufficient villages in the poorest country in the world, that being Haiti. Because I think, we've built 21 villages over there in the last 11 years, housing over 10,000 desperately poor homeless children and families, that I figured, I hate black tie events and cocktail parties and golf outings. What if I were to conduct what we're calling the Make It Big event, the anti-seminar? MakeItBigEvent.com, for those of you listening, MakeItBigEvent.com, the anti-seminar. So why are we calling it the anti-seminar? First of all, real estate education is all about upselling you, rushing you to the back of the room, selling you these expensive, inflated success coaching programs, $10,000, $15,000. People are maxing out their credit cards. They have no money left to do real estate deals. Can't stand it. And so what we decided was, let's not have any of that at my event. First of all, I'm not a 25-minute or 25-month overnight sensation. I've been doing this 25 years. There's nobody out there in the industry that's gone from a $50,000 fixer-upper to a $50 million mansion that's willing to share that process with you. So I've developed a curriculum specific to the Make It Big event, 100-page workbook that we're going to work for. There's no substitute teachers, by the way. It's me and only me that will be teaching for an entire day at these events that we've scheduled across the country. The coolest aspect to me, the primary reason that Frank McKinney's doing it, I don't want to disrupt my quality of life. I love my quality of life right now. I don't need to be traipsing across the country, going to hotel, meeting rooms. The best thing for me, though, is when you sign up and register for our event, you provide a minimum of shelter to one homeless child in Haiti by way of constructing a concrete single-family home.
Hey, Frank.
A one-for-one match.
Hey, Frank, you have to forgive me. In fact, we ran out of time 30 seconds ago. So I got to wrap it up. Frank,
right.
Obviously the big event is huge. Would you like to give the website for that real quick?
Yeah, everybody who's listening, go to MakeItBigEvent.com. That's MakeItBigEvent.com. You can learn everything that we couldn't discuss here today.
Great stuff. Thanks so much, Frank McKinney. Enjoyed having you on again. Good to talk to you.
Thanks, guys. Okay.
And, of course, Chris Kidd. He's a regular here. Chris Kidd can be found at chriskidd.com. That's Kidd. Great interview. Frank's awesome.
Yeah, I highly recommend people read his books. I mean, his book, The Tap, is probably the top book I've ever read in my life.
What's the name of that again?
The Tap.
The Tap. Check it out. You can check that out at frank-mckinney.com, McKinney.com. I'm Kevin Price. This is The Price of Business.